I honestly don't know if I can tell you that platinum trophy hunting in 2024 is toxic. Because a lot of the time, I think it is. And I'm going to talk about why it is. And we're going to find out through research, okay? Research. We're actually just going to look at some forums and listen to me ramble. But, you know, it's all in the name of science. I think there's quite a bit of toxicity in most genres of video gaming. As soon as you get to any sort of extreme level, there's always somebody who's trying to put down somebody else. And I think that does happen in platinum trophy hunting. I think it does. Everyone's went through different experiences with trophy hunting, and I think everyone's going to think a little bit different, and we're all going to have our own little biases going on. I certainly do have mine. So I would like to know your opinion down below. I've definitely been exposed to probably more than the average person. Like, I've, obviously, because of this thing, sometimes I become the focal point of said discussions, and people like to be toxic about it, which is, it's just YouTube, right? It's just social media, right? You put yourself out there and this stuff happens. So there's definitely positivity in this niche as well, and I like to think that I contribute some, right? Right? I've got to, right? That's what I tell myself anyway, on those long, lonely nights. So what toxic things do I think actually happens within the trophy hunting community? I think all gaming that has competition, there's always that ego-driven element. And I think earning trophies, platinums, and beating games, it's kind of you v you, so you kind of think with that logic, there's gonna be no dude being ego-driven telling me that I suck at games, right? I think there will be. Of course, you're gonna have people looking down at you like, oh my god, it took you 100 hours to beat Super Meat Boy. I did it in 4 minutes. And that definitely does happen, and I do list videos about difficult games, and it's so often that people will be like, that game's not difficult, blah, blah, blah. One that comes to mind, I'm gonna share. One that comes to mind, because obviously I get loads of positive comments, and I thank you for them so much. And it's so true that negative comments do stay with you more, even when you bounce them off and you understand that it's just gaming and YouTube and stuff. But I'm going to paraphrase this one because I can't remember what it said. I made this video ages ago, like 2 years ago, about why the DLC in Remnant from the Ashes was one of the hardest, if not the hardest trophy I ever did. It is a survival roguelite mode. So essentially what you do is you fight your way through a wave, you fight a boss, and the boss is completely random every time. And you have to do 10 of these, and you have to do it in a certain amount of time. And the whole run takes about between 45 minutes and then probably an hour and 10 minutes, I would say. And I remember someone commenting being like, I did this first time with my friend, and I was like, okay, that's great for you, bro. Why the toxic energy, bro? Why bring that into the world? But that was my story, which I completely paraphrased, probably butchered, but we're going to go now to PSNP profiles, and we're going to look at some forums, because I think we'll get our answer as to whether or not there is real toxicity in those forums, because I have seen some saucy, questionable things in those forums. Okay, we're on PSN profiles, where trophy hunters go to seek advice on games, on platinum trophies, see the guides people make, and just generally discuss all things trophy hunting. So, what we're going to do is I thought we would go down to popular games, and we'll check the forums, and then we'll also check the main forum up here, and just see what everyone's saying, and if it's a positive vibe, or if everyone's just being little toxic incels. So Astro's Playroom, great game, came free on the PlayStation 5, all around great time. I can't see there being any negativity on here. So this was the 16th of November in 2020, basically around the release of the actual console. Some dude just being proper positive about how good it is, and you know, don't blame him, Astro's Playroom is absolutely fantastic. Okay, yeah, people just chatting about what they think. This guy says he just loves the Easter eggs, and I couldn't agree more. The Easter eggs in Astros are just absolutely phenomenal. This just takes me back, because people are just talking about the new features the PS5 had at the time. We're going back for almost 4 years, but enjoying the headsets. If you're undecided on playing this, you should play it. This is a very, very positive forum. This is getting me feeling great about trophy hunting. Okay, so so far, that's a pretty positive forum, isn't it? People are just chatting about how much they love the game, Astro's Playroom, and yeah, if you haven't played it, you should play it. It's free anyway. So that's a win for the trophy hunting community, this forum, I would say, without a doubt. Next is Zenless Zone 0. So this dude, Von Lyacon, God, whoever at Hyoverse that made this hunk of a man, I thank you with all my heart. This is an interesting forum. Again, pretty positive. I mean, a little weird, but pretty positive. Okay, so the First Descendant, I'm kind of leaning away from this game at the moment just purely because of the amount of microtransactions in it. I mean, I might dip my toe in, but by the looks of it, it's like £8 a character and you don't get that many to start with, but it does look like a good time, but the free-to-play model, I'm already sucking into Smite and Predecessor at the moment, so I don't really want to, I can't handle another free-to-play game right now. Alright, does the shop influence trophies? Someone with the exact same opinion as me, a bit concerned about the monetization. Okay, what I've looked at so far is kind of been people discussing the game, so there's not been any toxicity really towards each other. The best thing to do is try and find a forum where someone's complaining about the difficulty of the game and see if people are helping or being negative towards them. Alright, so Elden Ring. This person's saying their first Souls game. Let's see what they have to say, see if everyone's been really supportive of them. So he's saying, yeah, is Elden Ring a good game to start with as your first Souls game? I 100% think it's a first Souls game you should play, and also it's just one of the best RPGs ever made. It's harder than most RPGs, purely because there's no difficulty on it, but it's probably matching most RPGs on their hard difficulty. I mean, this guy says, I'd probably say it's the worst From Software game to start with. Every other FS game is linear. He's saying that you shouldn't play it because other ones are more linear, and then it'll be hard for you afterwards. Well, I get that, but doesn't mean that Elden Ring isn't the best starting point, because you can just, if you get stuck, you can just go somewhere else. Good enough, but it might retroactively ruin the enjoyment of previous, and I think, better games, because it's much more streamlined. I mean, I feel like that's quite a negative comment. It's a little bit toxic, because he's basically just like putting down a game that's universally agreed that it's absolutely fantastic. Unnecessarily, but nothing too crazy, to be fair. Okay, so I've not seen any toxic comments yet at all. It seems to be lovey-dovey most of the time, everyone being supportive. Maybe it's because these are all really popular mainstream games. Maybe we need to like dive into like some of the like really sweaty Platinum Trophy games to get an idea of how bad it is, because I've definitely seen negative comments on here. Let me just descend back to when I was playing horrific games and see what, if anyone's got anything to say on these. Okay, so this guy's written a very in-depth way to Platinum Avengers in 2023. Look how detailed this is. Well done on this. That's incredible. Someone's went to that level. And then someone's commenting saying, why bother writing this? That's pretty savage, to be fair. That's really savage. Alright, the generic forums. See what everyone's saying at the moment. I don't really know how to use this stuff because it's so complicated. I'm not incel enough to know how to work the forums on PSNP. Post a picture of yourself. Oh, that's an interesting, very interesting forum to have on PSNP. Okay, is this like a roast me situation, or is this like just like, oh hello, I've got no friends? This is just a bit incelly. To be fair, like, people are just saying really questionable stuff. I don't think it's toxic, I just think it's really, really weird. That was... You shake that off, because I mean, go nuts in your own time. I cannot promise you'll see things that you'll enjoy, and also I can't promise that everything in there is suitable for work. Alright, so this guy's made a forum called Help Me Get Over My Trophy Achievement Obsession. Right, okay, this guy's admitting to becoming an addict. Ever since the release of Xbox 360 and achievements were introduced, I became addicted. I ended up getting my gamer score to over 200,000 before I made the jump to PS4 in 2014. My addiction switched to platinum trophy hunting, and my backlog has gotten massive because of it. 1,000 plus games. I want to switch it to primarily PC gaming and stop caring about trophies and achievements, but I don't know how. Okay, this guy's got some addictions going on. He needs probably some psychotherapy, but clearly he's resorted to ask for an assistance on this forum. So I hope this is going to help and not cause more trauma to your already struggling addicted brain. Nope, you're done for. Nice. Taking on a full-time job, non-gaming related hobbies, and a girlfriend can help. So Malix is just assuming this guy's got no job, got no hobbies, and got no girlfriend. It's pretty savage. Pretty savage. But okay, fair play, bro. Fair play. Yeah, this isn't a particularly positive forum. People are just like stating the most obvious things. Sell off your console and games with trophies and achievements. Such an obvious solution, such an unlikely choice. The solution is probably so obvious that it won't work, because those sort of things don't work for addicts. But this is a problem with it when you post actual problems on forums. Like, people who are going to answer you just have no idea really what you're going through. So, I mean, you opened yourself up for it, whoever posted this, but they've opened themselves up for it. But this is pretty grim, to be fair. It's just people saying, oh, I'm stuck too, or lol, this isn't a problem, get over it, essentially. To get into the forums of trophy hunting, we can't just go on random games. We've actually got to go into what trophy hunters are saying, not just general people who maybe have a few plats and are on here. This is kind of taken it out of me, this forum, because I have not shown all of it, because it's just been a lot of whinging and a lot of people being like, oh, I'm the same, or just literally being brutal about it. That one was quite a negative forum. It was actually a real problem, so that one, if it's so spicy, I think generally it's a pretty positive website as long as you keep on the superficial layer. If you go into actual topics on these forums, then you open yourself up to it. And I think personally, I have found that when I posted forums and stuff, or when I made a post about a game, when I did maybe a guide and I gave some tips, that it was a mixed bag, but there was always someone being arsey on it. So this is my forum. I haven't posted loads on it. Sometimes I go on, sometimes I don't. So I made a guide for Metal Gear Solid when it came out, because I was the first to get the plat. So I made this post. I didn't do a guide. I just basically said the 5 steps to getting the platinum trophy. This game really did push me. 30 to 50 hours. It took me longer than that because I kept failing the speed run. I had to do 4 speed runs, and that took 15, 16 hours, maybe 20 with the go back to saves and stuff. All right. So first comment was, haven't done this with trophies. Okay. But have a hard time believing this is an 8 out of 10 with use of the bandana, stealth, and infinite saves. It's a call out already, basically about difficulty. This is where the elitism I spoke about earlier in the video comes out, where people are just like, I don't believe it's this. You can't have an opinion on the difficulty of the game unless you've played it. And if you've already played the game once on PS1 or whatever, it becomes easier, but this was from someone who hadn't played it. And just a bit negative. So yeah, the rest of it was pretty positive. It's just that one guy who just thinks that they're elite. And he never even did the game. So he was on a Metal Gear forum to say the game doesn't look hard. And 8 months later, and he didn't actually even play the first game after that. So I don't know why I even commented, but that's pretty negative, that, because it's like you've literally just piped up for no reason. You had no interest in playing the game. I mean, he has beat a lot of Metal Gears, so with those games beaten, then yeah, he probably wouldn't find it too difficult because he understands Metal Gear games, but that was my first one. So I asked you, do you think platinum trophy hunting is toxic? And most people said, no, peace and love, bro. That's great. I'm glad people think that. Only 7% said, yes, it's hella toxic. They are probably the people who are being toxic if you think that. You've either been toxic to think that, or you're being exposed to an excessive amount of toxicity. Probably for putting yourself out there by writing forums or guides. Bit of both. I think bit of both is probably the most accurate way to describe it. But we still need to check Reddit. Alright, Reddit. The realms of depravity. Yeah, you know what? Whenever I seem to Google something, most of the time, I do tend to find my answer in Reddit. But it's also either side of it is just loads of obviously hate speech, but I still get the answer that I want, so it's worth it. So the term platinum trophy does have quite a bit of search volume on Reddit. It's not quite as vague as what's on PSNP. It's not as many generic topics, but I have found a few that are a little bit spicy, a little bit exciting, and I think we'll get a good idea of the mixture of people who are talking about platinum trophies on Reddit. So this Reddit post is about how multiplayer trophies should have their own section in single player games. Let's see what people are saying anyway. This guy's saying, most direct towards games like Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Last of Us. Fair enough. Those games are predominantly single player and they just have these. Assassin's Creed games had some decent enough multiplayer in them. Actually, I thought they were really good. And The Last of Us's multiplayer is one of the best ever. And the fact that it wasn't in Last of Us Part 2 is a tragedy. This guy's saying, yeah, they should be in their own section, like DLC trophies. That way you can play the game and 100%ers can still go for 100%. That's totally fair. Is there anybody who disagrees? Everyone's agreeing here, so that's totally fair. Positive vibes right now. Positive vibes. But multiplayer trophies shouldn't be a thing, period. It kind of ruins the fun for anyone who is trying to seriously compete with some assholes are bunched up in a certain area of the map trying to earn some random trophy. Ah, right, okay, I think boosting and stuff. I mean, that's kind of fair, actually. That's a very fair point, because I suppose the problem with that statement is that it's actually people just shouldn't boost trophies in actual lobbies with actual people trying to play the game, I guess, right? But I mean, I have done that. I wouldn't do it now, but I have done it in the past when I was a bit more obsessed with beating every game, but now I would just say, no, I wouldn't do that. I do think multiplayer trophies should exist, especially in multiplayer games. Alright, so this guy's talking about how in Breath of the Wild you gotta collect 900 of those Koroks, and then you get yourself a golden poop, and it's just ridiculous. And then this other guy, Dust Freeze, pretty much all trophies are that. They are some digital golden poop that you can show off. Do people even look at other people's trophies and care? I mean, he's just saying his opinion, but I do find it weird when people have really negative opinions of trophies, but they're in these type of forums, because again, I've had to search this out. I've been trophy hunting for 8 years, and I never would have even looked on Reddit about platinum trophy hunting, but then there's some guy in a trophy hunting forum giving abuse about trophies. It's weird that people actually get here. I find it so crazy. I mean, I wouldn't say this is particularly toxic towards each other. I would say looking at this is just literally people moaning and moaning and moaning and moaning and complaining about certain trophies in games. Alright, our next one is How many platinum trophies do you guys have, and what is your trophy level? I think this could be a bit spicy because there could be some people with high trophy counts getting flamed. The whole thing about this is if you're going to flex this sort of thing, if you're going to flex in any situation, you have to be open to people trying to tear you down. So I can't really blame people for doing that if that's what we see. Okay, this guy shares his list and he says, only got 79 plats because he does the games he likes. And then this guy says, glad to see this comment. So many people have several hundred platinums because they just play a bunch of shitty games, especially to get the platinum. Now, I've never done that, no. And all it shows is that they wasted a bunch of money and time instead of actually finding enjoyment in the game. Fair play. Agree 100%. I had a friend that played Barbie stuff, easy, casual, fast games. There's a Barbie game. Is Ken playable? My god. You know, I've looked through this now and there's no real toxic comments. There's nothing of real interest to say. It's just people sharing their accounts and some people comment and some people not. So I looked through some other pages which have very similar styles. And essentially, yeah, it's actually nowhere near as toxic at all as I thought it was going to be. Honestly, I would say for every 100 positive comments, there's 1 or 2 negative. So going back to my poll of almost 2,000 people voted, 50% said, no, peace and love. And then 45% said a bit of both. Only 7%, which is like literally not even 150 people said it's toxic. And you know what, I actually, after looking at that, I would agree. I think generally the platinum trophy hunting community is actually really positive. And I think it is mainly about bringing people up rather than putting people down. And I think, yes, there is always going to be a couple of people who do that. But on a whole, it is actually really supportive. It's very different to what I thought it was going to be. Purely because I make videos and I see a lot more toxic comments, like a lot of toxic comments, but clearly the people who are actually on Reddit and PSNP who are really into the community are actually a lot more positive than people on my comments sections anyway. That's for certain. I was expecting to see a lot more toxic comments on PSNP because whenever I've went on a certain forum for a game, there's always been like so many people just being like trolling and stuff, but it just isn't the case. So yeah, actually we're a positive bunch of people. What do you think? That's it. Peace.